Our webinar today is on digital content. We're going to look at Thinglink, Google Earth and Google Tours. That's the icons for them, no particular order. I've enjoyed using them myself a lot recently. I've seen my own children use them, and we've got some examples of how they are being used in classrooms and in schools for lots of different things, because particularly Thinglink, the restrictions on that are only to do with your imagination, what you think you can do with them. Google Earth, I think about MapStart, if anyone can remember MapStart a way long back in primary school, I'm a primary school teacher, and how that was all about maps. Google Earth is far, far more than that. It's far more powerful than that. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool for engaging learners with all areas of the curriculum, particularly in a primary school setting. It's got so many useful resources built into it, and not just maps and Street View. So again, and tours, it gives you the ability to build your own tours similar to Thinglink and create your own content. So these three tools alone are really, really powerful for creating digital content that will help with remote learning, blended learning and rotational learning. We obviously try to link everything we possibly can to Curriculum for Excellence, the E's and O's and benchmarks within that. And obviously today is about digital literacy, but it goes far beyond that. These tools, Thinglink, Tour and Google Earth, allow you to create content through most, if not all, of the curricular areas that are within Curriculum for Excellence, because you are going to be learning based on what it is you need to do. And again, I've got some examples of how that can do. So, as I said, Thinglink and Tour Creator and Google Earth give you the opportunity to go beyond the digital literacy E's and O's that are within the technologies organisers, and I've just grabbed these. Everyone will plan their own way, and everyone will grab their own E's and O's and think about how we can promote interdisciplinary learning. I know lots and lots of local authorities and the Scottish Government itself want to have a huge priority for health and wellbeing, literacy and numeracy, and that's why I've kind of chosen these ones. Also teaching the children about digital literacy. So I've got some early ones there, and you wouldn't necessarily pick them there. I've got some first, and you wouldn't necessarily pick them, and I've got some second. But as I say, these things, Thinglink and Google Tours and Google Earth, certainly allow you to find your way through the curriculum in a kind of very innovative digital way to engage learners, because they will be at school sometimes and they will not be at school sometimes. And from my point of view, I'm a primary school teacher, that's my background. I would be thinking, how can I really, really engage my learners with things that I know that they'll find cool, and maybe a bit more inspiring than something else that I would normally provide. But you guys are the experts in that, and you'll know exactly what your learners' needs are. So going to the next slide. It's always about these things, and this is a huge thing about embedding creativity within the curriculum, and digital technology and digital platforms certainly has that. I have two children of my own. I know they like watching YouTube videos. I know they like engaging with digital content, and as an educator and as practitioners, just go back to that. I want to help them as much as possible to learn about these things in a positive format, and not always watch my wee girl watching people in America open up LOL doll boxes. So my wee little boy, he's getting really, really engaged with Google Earth at the moment because it's got quizzes, and my little girl, she's really like Thinglinks because it's just interactive tags that she can tap. It's quite a nice kind of kinesthetic app because she's using it on the iPad, and she likes that, and it opens their minds to different things. It creates the opportunity to solve their own problems, and because of Google Earth and Thinglink and Google Tours, we can take them to places that they can't go to simply at the moment because of lockdown. We can take them to museums, we can take them to famous places, we can take them to wonderful architecture, we can take them to places where things have happened in history and educate them about World War II and Nelson Mandela and places in America, Australia, China, New Zealand. It doesn't matter, we can take them these places and we can embed that content in Thinglink. And I'll show you some really easy, really excellent examples of how easily that is done. So always thinking about how we can build creativity into the curriculum. This is a phrase that I've only recently learned, which is rotational learning. It came from the West Partnership, and it was about how we rotate through different models within blended learning. And yes, children are learning remotely at the moment, and they will continue to learn remotely, and how we've got to get that blend of when they're in school and when they're out of school, and how we can flip things around and how we can prepare tasks for them that they can then come back to. Yes, there's a conversation to be had about equity and who's accessing through the internet, but if those learners are, and they are able, and within your schools and your environments that children can access something digitally and are able to do that, then you can begin to use Thinglink and Google Earth. So you can create tasks that they can do at home that then they can come back in and discuss, which would be a format that we've already used and do already use, but Thinglink and Google Earth and Google Tools allow you to create rotational learning tasks that they can do remotely, will help with their blending and create this flipped environment for them. So, go on to the next slide. And just not to forget the kind of concepts and context of Curriculum for Excellence, because they're really important still, that there are still opportunities for personal achievement, and there is interdisciplinary learning opportunities, and it is curricular area and subject specific, and if we can still build in about ethos and life as a school community. I know my school, I would always want to give my children a big thing about success and achievement, and I would still want to do that digitally, remotely, flipped and blended. So I really, really like that image. And also, as we move from school closures to this blended model where we find ourselves in at the moment, where some children are learning, or all children are learning at home, and as we move to that blended format, that we don't forget about how we need to assess children's attainments and achievements, and the moderation cycle is really important for that. All those little circles are really, really important, but our learners at the heart of every stage of that, because teaching is about learning, and we want our learners to be achieving as much as they possibly can. How we share learning intentions and success criteria with children when they're not there, well, we can use the flipped learning, that we can provide them tasks that are accessed digitally because they're in a blended environment, and that we use a wide range of assessment, and Google Earth and Thinglink will allow you to do that. It's not always worksheets. At the same time, it's not always done digitally, because that's not equity for everybody, because there are people who cannot access the internet and the digital tools within it. So we can still moderate children's work, we can still make sure they're attaining, we can still implement support for them if they aren't, when they aren't, and when we can do that. So, brief overview of the kind of things that we're thinking about, curiosity and the moderation cycle, but straight on to Thinglink now. So I'm just going to come out of this and go into Thinglink. As I said, Thinglink, easy to find. You put Thinglink up here, edu, and you get brought to this site, and I'm going to get into that in a wee second, but I just wanted to talk about examples that I'd seen. This is a primary school within Glasgow, and the first thing that's really sad that there's no children in this picture, but it's just the way it is that we find ourselves. But they've been creating Thinglink tours for their new entrants who will be joining the school in primary one, and they've created all these little icons for information. And because they've created this, they can go to different aspects of the school using the arrows, and you can create tours. So you can take yourself through museums, you can take yourself through a series of images using the tour option. And this is the infant playground, but if I press this arrow, I'm now taken to the upper school playground. So again, for tools or anything you want to show children, I think Thinglink has that power to do. You click on the little tags, and then they're telling you all about that. So they're telling the new children who are joining the school who are becoming familiar. I think there's an affiliation as well, that even for the existing pupils who are there who find themselves in remote learning situations, as most, if not all children are at the moment, then you can still use your classrooms, your actual physical classrooms, to get the children thinking about that environment that they were mostly happy in and they felt comfortable in, that was soft and warm and cuddly because the teaching environment was like that, and you'll have classes like that you're aware of. The other example, and I don't know if Amanda's on the call today, but if she is, thank you very much, because we asked for her to share this. Amanda's done it a different way, and that's the great thing about Thinglink. You can do it so many different ways. You're only limited by what you think it can do. She's created a whole virtual classroom here with little symbols, and I think that's really vital, because I know, because I checked through this one, this is taking the children to games. These little links are taking the children to little read-along books, and she's got more information. So if I just show you that quickly, this one here. So dead easy, you can embed your voice within the Thinglink, within the interactive tag, and this little link, without clicking it, by the looks of things, is going to take you to ICT Games, and obviously Amanda has been able to explain what the children can do. So you can voice over your instructions, you can give them text instructions about what you want to do. So again, you can voice over and you can just have text. So there's lots of different ways you can use Thinglink to engage your learners and what you think you lead. What's a good idea for primary school P1s in early years might not necessarily be a good idea for 6 years, obviously, but there's a range of things you can do. So if I just go into Thinglink now and I log in, it will take you in via Glow. That's one of the great options. So you can use your Glow login credentials to take you straight in. But this is really what you're met with, and again I'll just show you some examples because Thinglink itself, I asked for permission for this image. I actually contacted the artist and said if I could use this, but this is a little map of Scotland and it's all to do with the animals of Scotland. And here, if I click on number 1, what I've got there is just a title and some text, and this little link would take them to the YouTube site. So a different way of doing it, I've got a primary 7 who really wanted to find out about football, so I made this one far more extensive with lots and lots of information. Who are the players in the photograph? I used the data icon about make a graph of wins per teams, think about your scale, information, who's got the biggest stadium in Europe out of these 10 teams. So not only are you developing your math skills with this, or your reading skills, or your skimming skills, or your ability to read digital content. Again, you're doubling up there because you're developing their digital literacy skills as well, because they're having to navigate sites and within those sites look for specific information. So again, you can do this. The images came from Wikipedia. They do have free images. They do have Creative Commons links on them. So what I've done there is just put a little information bubble in to explain where I got the images from. You can debadge Thinglink as well. So if you don't want to have their branding on it, you can have that as well. A somber one was this boy in the striped pyjamas, where again you can app smash, so you can get your learners to create content in another platform. On this occasion it was Keynote, but PowerPoint would do the same thing as with Google Slides, and then again I've used images that are view, so I wanted to watch a film this time. This was an investigate, and this was a little read. So again, if you've got your pupils in that day, you could explain what your icons are going to be. You might only want to use 3 or 4. So when your learners go home and they're following that kind of blended learning and they're accessing something digitally, they know when they see a magnifier that they're going to have to investigate, when they know they see a book they're going to have to read, and when they know they have a film they have to watch. And again, going back to the moderation cycle, that children at the heart of all learning, well, you might have discussed this with your class about this being a personal choice aspect, where they've got to do so many tasks that are read, they've got to do so many tasks that are investigation, and they've got to do so many tasks that is watch. So it's not just all watch, and it's just not all read. So again, you're giving them the choice to develop their skills, and they can develop all different skills. Yeah, and again, it's up to you. It's about your choice of what you think. You could have slides within links or anything. Thinglink, and I'll explain that, goes on to kind of what you can do with the different options you've got of images and stuff. So I'll just get into it then. So really you're in here, you've got your kind of welcome, which is your homepage, you've got your own media, and if you really want to explore other people's, and there's lots of great content on there, there are other people's, so you can go in and look and you can pinch their kind of ideas. You are able, once you've created your own content, to share that with the Thinglink community, so you can give people links to your Thinglinks. And as you can see here, there's quite good ones. You've got landforms, periodic tables, you've got 110 women composers. So again, there's nothing that I can see. There's 99.9 of the things you normally do in class, and now you can do this within Thinglink. You've got your little icon up here, which gives you different options. It talks about My Media, you've got account settings in there, you've got help and projects. So it's really straightforward. So I'm just going to really get on with how you create something. And here you get the option to create, dead simple. You can press it, and at this stage you can upload a 360 video, which you need a bit of software to do, but you can upload 360 images, which you can use, I think you can use Street View app to do that, and there's definitely information on, if you just put that into Google, it will tell you how to do that. That's how the school in Glasgow, the one I showed you, they used that, and they created a 360 image. So like a PowerPoint would be pretty flat. It'd be a kind of 2D element to that, not a 360. You can create this kind of 3-tour, 360-degree tour, or you can zoom right round and see the whole of the environment, whether it's the classroom, whether it's the gym hall, whether it's the ICT suite, whether it's the drama hall, wherever it is, you can show them all these things. They did that within the classroom as well for the new parents, because the parents would want to know about the things that are available within the classroom. They can't unfortunately see that, so they told them about the cosy corner, they told them about the library corner, they told them about the STEM corner, they told them about the choice corner, they told them about all the different corners that they've got set up within the classroom. Not corners, because it's only got 4 corners, but all the different areas within the classroom that the children will one day be eventually to get going and get back playing with. So that's, you can use the 360 tool to do that. You can upload a video, and when you create your Thinglink account, you get examples in those, so you can go in and see what a 360 video looks like. You can look at what a 360 image looks like, and you can also look at the video one, and I think it's a Blackbird, and it's just got the interactive tags the same way I showed you there with Amanda's little example and the football example I showed you. But this time they're embedded in the video, so the video's moving. So it could be something about science, it could be something about PE, it could be anything that involves any kind of movement, and you get the option. But I'm just going to show you today how to do an image one, because that's the kind of simplest one. So just going to create. I'm going to upload a video. The video that I want to use is a little Charles Rennie Mackintosh image, and there it is there. Again, you've got to make sure that you've got the rights to use these images, so you can use Google for that, to make sure you get the right settings for it, and it can be reused. So I checked that this was okay, and it is okay to use this one. So I'm going to open it, and then you get into this very, very, very straightforward and simple kind of interface. You've got your image, and then you've got these 3 options. Done is obviously done. There's some settings you can look at, and I'll go back over them, but here we can add a tag. So the tag is to create different options, and you have a few, as I said, and I'll go over them one by one. This one here I'm going to add very quickly to show you what it would look like, and then I'll go over the rest of them. So I'm going to add this tag, and here you can see immediately you can change the icon. So if you want to take it as a book icon or a look icon or a map icon, you can change the icon. So I'm just going to create this one because I want the children to look at it because it's an image, and then when you click it you get met with other options, and I think that's really a really powerful aspect of it. You can create different colours. You can create colours to create differentiation. You can create colour to create sections within the image where you want their eyes to be drawn to. So there's a really good option there when you get the colours. So I'm just going to choose the first one. I'm just going to write Charles Rennie Mackintosh for quickness. I'm going to put this look here and see, and then here what I can do is put in the URL of where I want the children to go to. I'm just going to put in www.bbc.co.uk because I know that one works. And here again you can change what you want that button to look like. Click here to see. And that's what it would look like. The more text you add, and it is slightly limited, I don't know exactly the number that it is limited to, but it is limited. You can't write forever, never, never. It does stop, but you can write quite a bit. Here I can add a little other image. So if I wanted to have a little image beside what I've got, just to make it easier, you can then add another image, and what happens here is a little arrow pops up, so you get a kind of little slide view, a little stack of images. And that's quite nice as well if you wanted them to look at 3 or 4 things, and maybe it was a visible thinking routine like I see, I think, I wonder. Look at the first image, look at the second image. You can upload your voice by clicking the little microphone, and it flashes and it's doing that, and then you'll hear my voice, and then what I can do is stop it. And it flashes and it's doing that, and you hear my voice, and then what I can do. So you heard my voice double there because I was able to record that. You've got the Immersive Reader as well, and it will pop into Immersive Reader, so you can check that it reads the way you want to do it, and then you've got all the options of Immersive Reader that some of you will be familiar with, but I'm not going to get into that. I'll just play it again. And that will talk through what you have put as the description there, which was over here. So that's that. So there's my little tag now, and then you can see it, and it's sitting there nicely. If I I'm just going to remove my audio so it doesn't keep playing. So if you didn't like the icon, you didn't like the content, just click back on the icon, the image where you've put the tag, and then you can go back in and you can change it. I don't want the little mountain range anymore for landscape. I want them actually to look at something, and I want it to be green, and then I can do that. If I wanted to delete it altogether, I could delete it altogether, and that is it done. And that, again, is how it would look. So pretty straightforward how you can add tags for that option there with add text and media. Here you can add just a label, and I've seen that used for differentiation where I've had 1, 2 and 3, and 1 was kind of like chili challenge model. It's used for different kind of questioning. Number 2 was slightly more difficult, and number 3 was even more challenging, and that was teachers who'd used it for kind of higher order thinking skills, where the questions set in number 1 were really, really easy, and they made them green, and then they would type in question 1 there, like Q1, and then you can do it. Bring that over to the task like that, and then you can add in another text label, and here you can do number 2, and you want it to be a slightly more challenging this time. So it's number 2, and it's all questions to do with number 2. I'm just showing you that very quickly. And then we've got more in there, so you can add a third tag in, and this is just one way of doing it. There's lots and lots of different ways to do it. Number 3, that's really spicy hot. So there we go. And done. And again, you can bring them over. So you'd maybe want them to look at something, a website, an image, listen to something, watch something, read something, and then you can set them questions underneath it, differentiation. You could use any icons or any tags or whatever. There's quite a few possibilities. The other one here is you can embed a code or a URL, and if I just go back to forms, and if I had a quiz here, which I do, go to this one, Charles Rennie Mackintosh, where was Charles born, what was the name of the house? So I'd got them to investigate Charles Rennie Mackintosh. I can now share this. I can take the embedded code from forms, and I think this is where forms plays a huge role in blended learning when children are not at school. How can you assess their work when they're in the house and they can access digital? They can access digitally, they can get onto some sort of platform that you can use this or quizzes within Google to make exit polls, and not just about individual questions, but here, find an image of Charles Rennie Mackintosh you like and copy the link in here and then explain why you like it. So again, not just going through kind of lower order remember and understanding questions, getting them to evaluate things, getting them to create, getting them to produce. You could even debate, you can use all those skills. So I can copy this over, I can go back to my Thinglink and just make sure I get the right one, and here I can copy it in, there we go, and there's my forms embedded within my Thinglink. So that's that done. And now if I click that one, oh, where is it? There it is there, because I didn't change the icon. So this time when I click that one, there is my form. So the tour here is basically if you've got other Thinglinks, so if you want them to go to other rooms or to other things or other objects, then you would create another Thinglink and it links to that Thinglink. So it's a Thinglink attached to a Thinglink, all like links. And the way I thought it was like a link in a chain, or a link like on a bike chain or anything like that, all these little links together. So you select it, and because I've done that, and if I wanted Charles Rennie Mackintosh to link to this one I can, but if it was a classroom to a classroom, or animals, or numbers, or aspects of maths, or whatever it was you wanted to link to, you would just link it to all the different Thinglinks you've created, and that would kind of sit in there, and when I pressed that, I would go to that next one. So I will do done on there. And that is basically, you get the option there to do some custom tags, but as you see, you can request a quote. Go back here, so I'm going to cancel. Settings, you can change this colour scheme, and that's how the questions look like, or little tags. So you've got some options there. You've obviously got the hex numbers here where you can get that value to make the specific colour you want. So if you wanted to do your school colours, or your class colours, or your house colours, you could do that. You can tag the animations and they pulse a wee bit, and that's just another little feature that just draws attention to it. You can hide the logo, and if you want to upload audio as well. So that is it done. So I'm just going to hit done now, And there you can see it, and this is the view. So that was the edit view there, and this was the kind of view. So if you see, if I click in here, that's the one I added to the other tour. So that takes me to there. Go back to done. And here was my little, this plus button here was my little quiz. So just to kind of show you how you would then go on and you can share. So you've got some options here where you can do different things as well. So you've got the right click there. And if you wanted to, you've got the option to, you've got the options here of how you've got your account settings. Just go in there as well, so how that looks. So there's different things to have a wee look about when you get in there. But if I go to My Media again, which I'm in, and if I wanted to, just you can move it to folders. You've got different settings here within that here. But again, this is only people within my organisation because I'm not sharing this. If you wanted this to make it public, anyone can find and access, no sign-in required. And I know some people have done that via Twitter. Just back in here very quickly to my actual Thinglink, the little share option there, that shows you how you share the actual what you've created as a content. And again, you've got some different options there. You can share it, you can embed it, you can share the little link. There you go, and that's how some people have been doing that on Twitter. You can publish the social, you can download offline, but as you see, you need to upgrade the account. And then you've got donate the lesson, and that was, as I was saying earlier on, that gets added to the bank of the lessons within Thinglink. So usually I've just been using, this is saying here change of visibility because I have made that private. As soon as you change that within your settings, it changes it, and that kind of little warning there disappears. Okay, and then you would copy the link and then you would take it over. So just a couple of last things on Thinglink because I think they're worth showing. If you go to welcome and you come down to 360 image bank, these are free images of a variety of places down the world, and there you go, there's an Egyptian one right away. So you could use that for talking about hieroglyphics. Here's another one here, Peru, and you could use that for geology and talking about different environments. Again, there's a conservation within Brazil, and I've not even clicked more yet, and already I'm getting kind of ideas. So if you were doing the seasons, and Amanda had that within her own little Thinglink there, there's a Lapland one, and this one certainly looks warmer, so you could again compare different seasons and things like that, and there is lots and lots and lots of ones there for free that you can pick and duplicate and use within your own Thinglinks, and you can create tours. You can also do that within Google Earth. So I think that's pretty much me finished on Thinglink, George. As you can see, it's dead simple. The actual creating aspect of it is really straightforward. It's worth signing up if you want to for the free version, having a play about with it, seeing if it would work for you, and then thinking about how you would use it. But you're just clicking buttons and adding little circles with little colours and numbers and icons on it. It's dead straightforward to do. Okie dokie, so you can share anything into it via that embed. So if you've got PowerPoints and you just want everything that you want the children to learn through in one place, then you just embed it within an image. So yeah, you get different options, and here's one spinning around at the moment in Ski Resort in Norway, and that's a 360 image, and that just spins around by itself automatically. I'm not doing anything to it, decides that. Okay, so we'll move on to Google Earth. Because I've got a Mac and it doesn't really like the Mac, but I use it on my Apple iPad via the app. So again, like George was saying, just check what works for you, and if something's not working, you might need to contact whoever it is within your local authority. But if you explore via Chrome, it's really easy, and it's dead easy to do, and it works the most efficient, quick way. Google are maybe wanting to push you to that platform, but I've been using it through a Chrome, and it's dead easy. So you just click Explore Google Earth. I'll be honest, every time I click that button I get a wee bit excited about this, because I do love Google Earth, and I love the way you just kind of come in and you're out in space. It is a map, basically, but they've built so many features into it. Again, like Thinglink, it's to do with imagination and what you want to create. Going back to curiosity and problem solving and imagination. Google Earth will help support that, and if you just put into YouTube Google Earth sites, it will take you to wonderful places in the world that are cool. There's like fire pits in Azerbaijan, and there's things down in the South Pole, and there's you can go to the Great Barrier Reef, you can go to the top of Everest, you can go to the Great Wall of China. So again, you can go to all these wonderful, wonderful places. So I'm just going to go down the little icons here and show you one by one what they all do. First of all, you've got the search button, which is the quickest one. And if here I put in, I'm just going to put in the Queen. And it gives me options. If you put in Taj Mahal, you get every single Taj Mahal restaurant in Scotland. So eventually you find the one you want, which is in the place that you want. But here, if I put in, not only could I put in postcodes and places, you can put in people's names. And here you get this in the Queen's footsteps. And if I click that, it then begins to take me to a tour that has been built around the Queen, and I can start exploring. So the search feature there is not only to do with street names and places. You can search for people as well. The little captain's wheel of the ship, the Voyager tool, is really, really useful as well. I stumbled across this a while ago in school, and the children loved it because there was the games. I'll go into them in a minute. There is editor picks within here, so they're kind of collating what they think is good. You get 3D Imagery in Google, and this one here is animals and wildlife, and it will begin to build what is a tour. And here you've got all animal wildlife, you've got all this text, and you can get the children or yourself, if you just want to play about with it yourself, to go to these different places, Galapagos Islands. And I was actually trying to find these monkeys the other day, and I could not for the life of me remember them. So I went into this tour and found these guys. I was like, yes, these are the people I was looking for. Pops you right in there. You're right in at their little faces. So cool. And here it begins to tell you that's slide 4 of 14, so you can go to the next one. And you can begin to tour through all these different animals in these different wonderful, wonderful places, with blue skies and clear blue water and lovely trees. So really, really cool within Voyager. It's an option. You've obviously got the games, which is a kind of quizzes. And this one here is good for kind of anybody, but particularly a kind of younger learners, because it begins to do animal calls. And it's the noises that the animals make, but it shows you where they come from and the planet as well. So there's a little reading task there. So again, any kind of quiz that you would make or any non-fiction book that you would want them to read about in school, and you would go through the pages as you normally would, or the worksheet, or you would put something in the smartboard. Google Earth is doing that, but it's also showing you where these animals would come from, and it gives you the little sound. So which creature makes this sound that's on the move? If I play the little sound. It plays the sound of a horse, and then you would click that, and then you get it right, and then you go on to the next quiz question, and it shows you where horses can come from, because they don't only come from Italy. I think that's Italy, so they're probably wild horses. So again, you've got the little Voyager tool there, and come down further down, you've got holiday traditions, and one I've used previously in primary 6 and primary 7 class is the World War II quiz. So lots and lots of options in there, not just about animals, not just about geography, but geography and topical content where it's showing you places, it's talking about things. So going back to that, how do we create content that's not just curriculum based but IDL based, then you can begin to use Google Earth for that. Football quiz, castles and palaces, architecture around the globe, lots and lots and lots of different quizzes there. So when I was thinking about this for myself, I would have at least a term's worth of work possibly using Google Earth, if not more, and building content all the time and taking them to places and creating projects for them, and I'll come on to the projects later. You've also got layers, and you can look at different layers and it will take you to these, but here's one here about discussion. So talking about that flipped learning model again, let's look at global glacier coverage in the world and talk about that. And it begins to show you, and you can see these layers. Why are these countries blue? Where are they? Why do you think these ones are blue? Why is there no blue here? Why are these ones red? If it's Australia, or really dark tan, or kind of orange. Sand colour, so you've got that one. The other real cool Voyager one is polar sea ice coverage, and that begins to show you the melting ice caps, to the extent of that and how that's went since 1979, because it's telling me that, and it shows you that, and I can begin to play this little timeline, and that will go through the kind of rapid decrease of the ice at the North Pole and the Arctic. So really good discussions around that, what's happening, why it's happening, and then investigate why it's happening. So you can bring them here for a task, and then you can support that task through whatever way you would do it, talking about greenhouse gases, talking about air travel, talking about CFCs, anything like that at all. So you can see the decrease there in the ice over the period of time. So again, going back to those higher order thinking skills, you can have that discussion, that debate, and is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? Well, I would say it's a bad thing, but that's why we have debates, for other people to argue that point of view and provide evidence for that. Well, why do you not think it's a bad thing, and all that? So there is that within layers. Again, I go back to Voyage, and you've got Street View, which is basically showing you everywhere in the world where there is Street View. But again, you've got, similar to the quizzes and editors picks, you've got all these different things: discover Bermuda, discover Ireland, discover Spain, discover Mexico, and it shows you basically blue lines over streets, but also within buildings, and inside places now, because you can tour inside places, but it's showing you a thing. And there is Skye, so it's great to know that there's a Scottish example in there as well. Nature, what's in there about nature, culture, travel and education. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the idea. You click on it and it's taking you to something done with that. If you're feeling lucky, then you just click I'm feeling lucky and it will take you anywhere. Ironically, I pressed this the other day there and it took me to the Houses of Parliament, which I thought was quite strange based on everything that's went on at the moment, but it took me straight there. I was hoping to go somewhere a bit nicer. But then you can investigate where these countries are. If it's just a roll of the dice, then where actually am I? And how did the children find out where they are? How do they do that? Well, they need to look at the country. They need to look at the borders. They need to zoom in. They need to zoom out. So again, we're developing digital literacy skills there, but we're also looking at the mapping skills. We've got skimming and scanning, and they're using some, they're listening to you. And then again, it tells you can read the little bits here, and you can fly to them as well. So like lots of the apps within Microsoft and lots of tools, there's lots of different ways to get into things by pressing different buttons. Projects is so good, and you need to be signed in to create a project, but you can basically create your own projects. And I've created some here. I created one called Football Stadiums. I've created one called 7 Wonders of the World, and they're really, really easy to do. You click a new project, it asks you if you want to create that in your Google Drive. You hit yes, you hit a new feature, you search or add a place. And if you're not sure how to do that, and I am because I've watched this tutorial, you have the little tutorials embedded within here for each of the stages of building a project. So you just watch these little videos. They take you to a YouTube site. They'll last about 2-3 minutes, and they show you all the things you can do. You can pause them when you need to pause them because it's going to be a bit too quick, or you can let them run. So I'm just going to search to add somewhere. I'm going to put in the new camp, and here we are, Camp New. I'm going to click on it, and whoosh, it flies me all the way to the new camp. It could be anywhere. It could be museums. It could be disaster zones. It could be anything to do with anything. Any Scottish content, any world content, absolutely anything. Again, it's to do with your imagination and what you think your learners would need. And here we go. I can now add this to my project by simply clicking this little button here, add to my project. So here, I've not got a title for my project because I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to call this Camp New, and I'm going to save it there. So here is my untitled project. I'm just going to edit that, and I'm going to call that, I'll call it Football again. And there we go. I can add a description, look and see, and there we go. I've got my little features. I want to add something else, another new feature. I'm going to add in a place, and this time I'm going to go to, let's see, give me another famous stadium. I'm going to go to, let's see, Manchester, UK, explore Manchester United, and, oh, is it not coming up with it? Home of Old Trafford. Let's go, United. Oop. My typing's going to pot. Manchester United. So, not specific with that, so it might take a bit longer to do that, but what I'm going to do now is put in Wembley Stadium. There we go, so I can put that one in there. So you might need to be a bit more specific, and you might need to do a bit of figuring about with it. You might need to use specific, but you can zoom out and zoom in to find out what you wanted to do. So here we go, we've got Wembley Stadium, and I'm going to add to a project, and again, there we are. So I'm going to save that, and again, you can see it's going into my project there, and I can save that. So I'm going to go back to my project. I've got two little signs here. two little places where I put in. If I wanted to put in a new feature and I don't want to add, but I want to put in a title screen the same way you would on a PowerPoint, you can put in a full screen slide, and that just goes at the start of your project. And if I put that in there, I'm just going to call it test. I can add some text to it. If I want to add an image, I can, and I've got one here. Again, it takes you to your options, so if you've got things in your Google Drive already, you can, but I'm going to go to my files because I've got this one already. I've got a little football one here. I'm going to pop it in, and I appreciate I'm going really, really quickly at this, but again, you can watch those little tutorials, and that is it. So that is ready. It saves automatically because it's cloud-based. I don't need to hit save or anything. A bit annoying, it pops down at the bottom, but all you do is drag it to the top. Here I've got my slide at the front, and I've got my little two icons for the stadiums that I have added. And if I hit present, there you see it. I've got my very front page of my project that I've created for my learners, and here I've got my slide numbers down here at the bottom. Number 2 was the Nou Camp, so it'll take me to the Nou Camp. Number 3 was the Wembley Stadium. So again, I know I'm showing football stadiums, and that's maybe not necessarily the way you would do it, but it shows you how you can add places really, really easy and begin to watch projects. If you're not happy with the icons that I used, again, like Thinglink, and you want them to read something, you want them to watch something or look at something, you've got to edit the feature button here, and you've got all these icons that you can use. You can change the colour of the icons. There's so many features, you could get bogged down in them, but there's lots and lots of ways of doing it. So if I go back and I add one, go back to Wembley, and just move George out of the way a wee bit. If you weren't happy with how something looked at and you wanted a different view, I can begin to use these options here. I can put on a little pegman, and what that does is it shows me around Wembley Stadium all these little blue dots where camera pictures have been taken. So if I didn't like the one that was there, I could press this little one. I don't even know where it's going to take me. It might be from a very high up point. See, there you go. So if you wanted to actually go in the stadium, then you could use that as your feature. So you can play about with the pegman, you can play about with the street view. If I put that on 2D, turn on pegman, you'll notice all these blue lines round about it, and I appreciate this is not a Google Earth tutorial, just kind of showing you what you can do. You can really, really play about with it and start to think about where you want people. If there's a particular angle of a building that you want to get, or a particular angle of something, you can take them to that. So really, really cool. You've got your bin and you've got your edit, and you've got export if you wanted to, but this is a really vital one, the sharing the project. And you can share that with anybody you want to by getting the link. You can share it with people within your groups, but you can get the link. So change to anyone with the link. Just again, like any sharing, just watch your settings and think about who you're sharing with. But I can change this to anyone with the link, and then I can share that with people, and they would get that project. And I sent one to George yesterday to make sure he could get it, and that worked. And then George can click a bit on that and play about with the project that I've created with him. So that's it. Last wee thing is, if you want lots and lots of information, then you can put in everything, and that's when it starts showing you like pubs and restaurants and clubs and takeaway shops. So exploration's switched on by default. If you wanted no borders, you could do that. You've got the drawing tool as well. So if I wanted here to measure, go back to that, sorry. Go back out my project view, and you've got the little measuring tool here, and again I can use my little measuring tool. Let's see, just click it there, put it round, and again I can begin to talk about it's the perimeter of the pitches, that area is, and we can begin to use that as a maths tool as well. And you can do dots of anything, the distance from somewhere to somebody as the crow flies. So you can talk about crow flies. Can they create a distance from their house round to the school? What distance would that be? Those kind of things. So there's different ways of using that little distance tool. So again, really, really good stuff there for creating digital content for your learners. It's kind of me finished with Google Earth there, George. I'm conscious of time. So is there any questions? Cool. So again, I think because of the projects feature and the fact that you can use your login credentials and create your own projects for your learners, and then you can share that, you can begin to create really, really cool tours yourself of things that fall into a variety of different aspects of the curriculum, whether it's art or science or social studies, people in place, history. There's lots and lots and lots of different options there. Even if you're just looking at architecture and looking at shapes, then there's different ways of doing it. Very quickly, because I'm conscious of time, is Tour Creator. Tour Creator kind of fits in between a bit of Google Earth and a wee bit of Thinglink, because it kind of does the same thing. It's got interactive tags. I don't know how much time they're spending on Tour Creator now, because, as I say, Street View and the camera option to take photographs and then put them into your projects or put them into Thinglink is kind of making it less and less useful, but it's still a good tool and you can do things with it really, really up close to places. So if I just show you that very quickly, again, you can use your own credentials to sign in. And the tour itself, I created this one called Amazing Glasgow. It's a front image. It asks for a front image and a title. It's really straightforward to do. Dead easy, really quick. And here, as you can see, what it looks like. If I've published it, I can publish it there. And that would be it done by just adding scenes. Really straightforward. I then can view the tour, and I made this one earlier on, and it's the Hydro. And on the Hydro, you can begin to add links to individual things. So here is the first one. It was built in 2013. And here is the last link. This is the front door. But you can add scenes, and you can see that along there. And again, there's a video on Google. Just put in how to do a tour creator and Google. It's 10-15 minute video. You watch it. It's a lady, talks you through all the steps. Dead straightforward. But as I say, you can add tags to images, and then you can go into the next scene, and then you can get takes. So you can create tours of places. Again, Google Earth does that. Tours does it slightly different because you're not within the kind of map feature, you're more within the image feature. George has spoken previously about changing Scottish words into French words and using these places to talk about directions and places and streets names, and maybe using that for foreign languages. But again, the possibilities are up to the imagination, and you can do quite a lot with it. If I go back to Amazing Glasgow and done, again, you've got the sharing options with your learners there. By clicking on here, and then you can view published tour, or you can delete the tour, and again you have some share options. So again, it's worth having a play about with it, and apologies we've not got enough time to do that today, but as I said, there's a little video on YouTube that shows you how to do that, but it's pretty straightforward. And like I showed you there with Thinglink and Google Earth, there is the option to share a link with the learners or whoever it is you want to get the link. I think that's pretty much us finished, George. Just to kind of summarise, I hope that has been useful. I hope that it's got people thinking about how they can use Thinglink and Google Earth and Google Tours to create content that will really, really support our learners to engage with lessons when they're following the blended model and they're not in school, and that we can still use to assess their achievements, that we can still use as assessment pieces, that we can still use to moderate how well that they are achieving, because there is the possibility that the children will be in lockdown for whoever knows. So how do we, and young people, how do we get them engaging in the lessons, and how can we still assess so we can make sure that they are achieving? So I'm just going to kind of stop sharing my screen, George, and put the form. Hopefully you found that useful today. Hopefully you've learnt something new, seen something a bit different. If Amanda's still here, again, thank you for sharing that with us today. And that's all from me. Thank you very much for coming, and have a very, very nice day. We'll be here for the next 5 minutes. If there's any questions, we'll hang about. But as George says, just check the team for some more information. Thank you very much.